How's it going, everybody? I'm Chris Kiefer. I brought Simon Cudby here. This is Off-Road Underground as well as Kiefer Ink Testing, and welcome to a 2024 KTM 450 XCF-W build. That is Simon's personal machine. So we're out here above Lake Arrowhead, California today to do some trail riding, but we brought this machine to talk to you about what Simon has done to his personal machine and the reasons why. So Simon, first things first, you bought this bike for your personal needs to kind of go on these long trail rides and these long adventure rides that you do.
Yeah, firstly I want to say it's kind of weird being on the other side of the camera for a change. So
we don't get him. I actually had to beg him to do this. So
yeah, I mean, I got this KTM 450, and basically I wanted a bike that would do it all. So we do trips to Baja, we come trail riding up in the desert, you know, we go to Colorado and ride. So I wanted a bike that would work in all these different conditions. I have a KTM 300 two-stroke, which is amazing for the single track, but once you get down to a place like Baja, that thing's not really going to work very well down there. So you need something that's going to do everything for you. The first thing I did was take it to the guys at Rottweiler Performance, Chris Parker and Dave Casella down there. They're really moving into the smaller bikes. They're known for their big adventure bikes. Yep. Yeah. So Rottweiler has a dyno in-house. They put the bike on the dyno, did a bunch of stock readings. Then they put a Get ECU on it, which is coupled up or mapped with this Yoshimura pipe.
Yep.
And I haven't ridden this bike yet. This is the first day out on it. Chris gets to ride it first. But from what I've seen of the numbers, I mean, there's more than a 10% gain across the whole range on the horsepower.
Yeah, so when I was looking over the dyno sheet earlier, you can just see like from 20% throttle opening to 60% to 80%. Basically what you're getting about at 8,000 RPM is you're getting almost 5 horsepower more throughout the range. So when I broke it all down, which to me, you guys know I'm not a huge dyno guy, but that tells me there's a little bit more excitement and a little bit more power under this whole scheme that we have here. So that is quite nice.
So also for an average guy like myself, I'm not nowhere near the caliber of guys like Chris, but I have a Get map switch as well, so I can change it from setting 1, which is full beans, down to setting 2, which is a bit more manageable. If the going gets a bit slick or gravelly, I can switch it down to that. So yeah, so the biggest thing we did on this bike was the Get ECU and the Rottweiler Performance stuff.
And I guess for you guys out there going, hey man, it's a 450 cc's of power, why do you need more? It's not about trying to get more power. It's mostly about getting like clean, longer power, and then just manipulating that power around to where Simon wants it. So that's where the Rottweiler guys come into play, and they really try to spread it around. So if he's out riding Baja roads wide open, he has a nice smooth bike to ride, and he gets in some tight trails like today, he could kick this thing down on the handlebar map switch and make it smoother down low.
So the other thing we did on this bike was the graphics kit. So the guys at SKDA Moto, in my opinion, do the best graphics in the industry. They came up with this scheme for us. It's got some like little details like contour lines, and it's got our Off-Road Underground logo. It's got the logo for the guys from Three Brothers, and I just talk about those guys for a minute. So Eduardo down at Three Brothers, we brought the bike in with a box full of parts, and I can put stuff together, but I know when they put it together, it's going to be done right. So for me, taking my stuff to Three Brothers and having those guys put it all together was really good, and they also revalve the suspension, the forks and the shock from me, 200 pounds, but I'm often carrying a backpack that's 20 or 30 pounds or a riding vest with tools and that kind of stuff in. So hoping that the suspension on this bike is good. Chris is going to ride it mostly today, and he'll talk about it later. So
Three Brothers is an authorized WP center, so if you guys want to get your stuff rebuilt or revalved, they can do all that stuff in-house, which is it's pretty nice. You guys never get to see this stuff, but when we're riding to these trails and doing the video, you see the backpack that Simon carries, and it is a monstrosity of a pack. So adding a little bit of beef to your valving for him when he's strapped up, and it's amazing how much weight he adds to himself when he does all these. But so yeah, so Three Brothers is an authorized WP center, and they can revalve and then respring your KTM Husqvarna gas as you wish. So when we started this build with Simon, we were talking a little bit earlier, and I told Simon there's 3 points that you should think about when you're building your bike. Is obviously comfort. He's going on long rides. Performance, you want a little bit of that added power and spread that around. And then durability. Last thing you want to do as off-road guys is be somewhere 60 to 100 miles away from the rig, or if you're out on a few day long trail ride, you don't want to break down. So comfort comes into play. Obviously, I see the seat. I'm not too familiar with this type of seat since I'm a moto guy, but maybe you can discuss that.
So the guys at Seat Concepts, they do great work. I mean, the craftsmanship is top quality, made in the USA stuff. Kind of flares out a little bit at the back. So if you are in Mexico, you're not standing up all day. You might catch yourself sitting down a bit.
Yeah.
So having this wider seat right here, and it also cuts in a little bit. So if you are sitting forward, it's still narrow, but it spreads out at the back. And then having a bit of a grip on there, and these grippers right here, they keep you on the bike. Yeah. You know, with a 450, there is a lot of power, and if you are going up something a bit sketchy, having those grips on the back is going to stop you sliding off the back of the bike.
Also on the trail, you don't want to be changing tubes. You don't want to be changing a flat, pissing off all your trail riding buddies and then waiting around for you. So Nitro Moose came in with for you, Simon.
Yeah, so Nitro Moose, we've got them on front and rear, obviously, and these are the Platinum Nitro Mooses, and they have a setting that's equal to like 12 to 14 PSI. So as Chris said, when you're out riding all day, the last thing I want to do anyway is stop and change a tire or change a tube or wait for my buddy that's got a flat.
Just more durability and a peace of mind that you don't have to worry about. I was just riding up here to do this intro, and I know that I can smack into rocks without having to pinch a tube or worry about it. So if you are a little bit sloppy on the trail, having that knowledge inside of your head going, hey, I don't have to worry about it. I can just hit stuff and not have to worry about pinching a tube, which is nice.
Speaking of the wheels, the guys at W got us this really cool looking wheel set with the Hahn hub, the XL A60 rims, and we've got like, what color is that? Do you think it's like a...
It's like an off brown blue kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a cool color, and it's got the little details that W is known for, which is like the orange spoke nipple. So I wanted a wheel set that I know is not gonna fail me when I'm out on a big ride in the desert somewhere. So thanks to the guys at W for that. I mean, the workmanship's really great.
It's really, A60 rims are probably the strongest rims you guys can buy. So if you're looking for a rim that's not gonna dent or get damaged for some of these rocks out here, A60s are really strong. So basically, drivetrain is also important, being comfortable on the bike along with the seat. Renthal 821 bend bars, fat bar. It's a lower, flatter bend, longer bend at 811 millimeters. And also, Renthal does make a twin ring sprocket, so aluminum inner, steel outer, and then you have a Renthal O-ring chain for longevity. So that is also important. And then little bits and pieces. I guess Fastway makes a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so Fastway, the first thing I always do is put these Fastway EXT foot pegs on. They have like a little extender on the back of the foot peg. So if you are, again, end of the day, you're tired, trying to get to your hotel in Baja and you're going through a sandwork section, you don't want to hyperextend your Achilles and
the Tomac.
Do a Tomac. That could be expensive. And so Fastway makes these foot pegs with the extender on the back, and they also make the wraparound handguards, which for me, I dropped a bike a couple weeks ago that didn't have handguards on, snapped the lever straight away. So having this protection, again, goes back to what Chris is talking about, which is reliability and durability when you're out on a big ride with your buddies.
All right, so obviously we're in the daytime right now, but when you go trail riding, sometimes that leads you into the night, and you can't rely on having a full moon every time you go trail riding. So I'm not too familiar with what's good and what is not with headlights, but Simon obviously has been out way more than I. What'd you end up doing over here?
So the guys at Cyclops, they're one of the first companies to have headlight inserts for the 2024 KTM models. It's a different shape than the 23 and previous, so we're happy to get one of the first ones from those guys. And the Trail Boss headlight is great. I run it in the daytime as well, because if you're out on these trails, especially at the weekend, there could be a side-by-side coming in the distance, and obviously the more visible you make yourself, the better. So for me, the Cyclops Trail Boss is the go-to. I actually have it on my 300 as well, and I have a Husky 501. I have Cyclops lights on that, and yeah, so far so good. They're plug and play, so you just take out your stock headlight, install the new one, plug it in, you're good to go.
Yeah, very important too. I didn't think about that. Like when we're on these two-way trails out here, you know, sometimes there is a lot more UTVs out nowadays. A lot of people are buying those, and we're on two wheels, and sometimes we can't be seen as well. So having that light out there ricochet off something could be beneficial.
Yeah, it's good. The more visible you can make yourself, the better. And then on the wheels, we talked earlier about having the Nitro mousses and the W wheel set. We got Shinko 520 rear tire and the 216 fatty front, and the fatty is wider than a regular bike. So again, you get into that sort of durability, comfort kind of thing. We run the 216 fatty on a lot of our bikes. It gives you a more, especially in the sand, if you're down in Mexico, stability in the sand washes. Yep. Having that fatter front tire is really good. The only downside of a fatter front tire is if you're riding a lot of single track with little ruts in, it is wider than a regular front tire.
What happens too, guys, too, if you get in a wider front tire, you get more cushion. So you have a little bit more comfort within your tire. Obviously, you'll get more stability, but side-to-side movement will be a little bit less because you're working on a wider tire. So with this, again, comfort is key. We're not so worried about ton of performance on the chassis side of things. We're trying to get stability and comfort, so that is key. And then also protection, going on the reliability side of things. Having a skid plate is important, so you don't want to be jamming a rock up in your cases.
Yeah, like I said just now, these 24 KTMs, it's hard to find some accessories for them right now. So the guys at AXP, I called them a couple months ago when I got my bike and said, hey, this is the bike I've got. They had a prototype of their new skid plate, and now it's in production. So the AXP skid plate, it's thick plastic and it's not very loud. So like if you're riding along a gravel trail, it's not pinging with the aluminum sound. And then we've got like a chain guard on the back here from AXP as well. And I put AXP on all my bikes.
This is a real world test. I mean, it's Simon's motorcycle. He's going to keep this thing. We're not just dressing this sucker up and then selling it right after the show. So he's going to ride this for a long time, and I'm going to ride it for a shorter amount of time and try to give you guys some feedback right after this. All right, we're wrapped up here. Simon and I went on a nice long trail ride today. Some Jeep trails, some single track, but nonetheless, I got a nice feel for this. And of course, this is Simon's bike. It's set up for him, but there is a lot of features that I can talk about to you guys and maybe help you with your purchases. So a little bit of backstory for me is I've done a lot of production testing for Yamaha and KTM, so I know how to set up a bike for the general consumer. When we do these tests with the manufacturers, we think about the target consumer and not so much what I like or dislike. So this is kind of how I'm going to generalize this motorcycle, because it's set up for Simon, things that he wants on his motorcycle for the duration of his ride. Again, off-road, durability, comfort, and a little bit of performance. But for me, it's more about how easy it is to ride the motorcycle. So we'll start with the Rottweiler, the Get ECU, along with the ECU tune that they did over there on their dyno. So that is a very important feature. When you buy an ECU, such as a Get, they do come with base maps, which are set up from Get, which are really good. But if you have an exhaust, if you're running different fuel, if you ask your tuner, such as Rottweiler, say, hey, this is the stuff that I do, they will dyno tune and custom build maps for you and what you want out of your motorcycle. So for me, a nice feature is having a handlebar mount and switch. They do have that. I tried both maps while I was doing stuff here today, and there is what we call a standard map and then a smoother map. So for me, I'm more of a standard map guy. So what do I want out of an off-road motorcycle, or what do you want out of an off-road motorcycle? You need rear wheel traction, right? You need to have maximum rear wheel traction, and if you get into some tighter stuff that I'm sure Simon will show you, you want to have some luggability. That is a motorcycle testing term that we use a lot here. So luggability is something that we can ride really low RPM. The bike doesn't stall, but I have a lot of rear wheel connection. This is what the Rottweiler Get ECU tune did for me. I can run second gear, even third gear in a higher gear, but a low RPM, and get a lot of rear wheel traction and the luggability to kind of help me up some of these hills. Also, another point of something that I really appreciate is how smooth the whole range of power is, and that I've ridden this bike in stock form. So what I didn't like about this bike in stock form is it has a lot of engine braking in second gear. What I noticed right away with the Get ECU tune from Rottweiler is there's less engine braking. You do need some of that to coming down hills, some engine braking to feel your tires, to get some traction, but also what that does, if you're chopping the throttle, it really upsets the chassis when you're in some of this tight stuff. In second gear, this bike is really flat, it's really neutral, it doesn't have a lot of engine braking, so I like that feature. If you want to get some more engine braking, what's nice is you can downshift to first gear, or you can hit that smooth map, and what I've noticed, there was some more engine braking in second gear with the smoother map. So there is some options for you guys out there that are riding some single track. I don't think you'll notice some of the things I'm mentioning to you guys if you're just riding in Baja down fast roads or fast Jeep roads. I don't think that'll come into play, but for some single track, some tight Jeep roads, that is a actual real benefit for me riding off-road, and I think that could be a benefit to you. The Yoshimura tune, I haven't rid with the Yoshimura exhaust on a KTM that much, but what I do like, again, it smooths out the power. It still has enough excitability, again, made up word in the testing term here. It has a lot of snap, but yet we still have that rear wheel connection. That's a blend that's really tough to get. If you get a motorcycle that is really free and spools up really quick and you have a lot of excitement, you lose rear wheel traction and luggability. So it has a nice blend of linear feel, but has enough excitement to hop over rocks and make the bike feel light. So that is also important. So for me, it all mates together, and they did a great job with doing that. Moving on to the suspension side of things, Three Brothers. I always get concerned when I ride off-road bikes thinking, oh man, it's going to be soft and mushy and I won't be able to have fun on it. But honestly, with Simon's target weight of 200 pounds, it fits my 170 pound frame really well, because I like to charge into stuff a little bit harder. For the things that I rode out here today, there's really sharp faces of rock, so I had a lot of holdup. Simon and I were doing some photos earlier, and we might have a shot of it, but kind of loading off of a jump and then going down into a G-out. Normally on off-road bikes, I just blow right through and then hit metal to metal, and it's not a great feeling for me as I'm doing these photos. But honestly, with the setup that he has here, there is enough holdup, there's enough dampening feel, but yet when we do get in some of these rocky and shaly parts of the trail, there is enough comfort and movement within the suspension. So I didn't even set the sag for me. We just kind of hopped on it and rode it, and it was actually very neutral, had a lot of dampening feeling, but yet more comfort than I was used to coming from an off-road bike. So I really appreciate that. Another little tidbit that I haven't got a lot of time on are the Shinko tires. I don't really ride with 90, 100, 21 tires. Usually I'm an 80, 100, 21 guy riding the motor world, but coming from a tire testing background, I know the 90, 100 is really good in straight line. We had some sand washes here today, so very stable, but on the edge of tire, it does take a little bit of finesse to try to get up some stuff if you're coming down V'd out, ruddy Jeep trails. So it will want to hunt and peck a little bit if you're kind of down that V versus an 80, which is a little bit more narrow, and you can kind of get up those sections a little bit. But again, this is Simon's motorcycle. He's going down for comfort. There is more bump comfort and carcass feel with a 90-100. I will say the Shinko is a very stiff carcass nature tire. I was talking to Simon about that, and of course you guys out there in the off-road world, you want durability. You don't want performance as much as us moto guys do. So you want a blend of, I need some traction, Kiefer, but also I don't want to be buying tires every time I go ride a dirt bike. I don't want to be in a 3-day ride and a day and a half in, my knobs are chunking. So for me, there is a blend of that. I don't have enough time to give you a durability report on the Shinko tire itself, but for me, the feeling has enough of lean angle traction and just overall contact patch for a tire, but yet it's a little stiffer nature carcass feel when I hit some rocks and things. So the Nitro Moose, maybe 2 rides on a Nitro Moose before, it does feel like you have 14 to 15 pounds. I know they claim when I read the sheet that, hey, this is supposed to feel like anywhere between 13 to 15 pounds. and I'm pretty good about feeling a tire PSI. I can go out to a motocross track and be like, hey man, I'm too high. You know, sure thing, I have 16 pounds. So they are on the money with what I feel on the trails and also on these shaly rocks. It does feel like I have about a 15 pounds in this tire. Again, Shinko is a little bit stiffer carcass, so I would have liked a little bit of less pressure and get some more traction. But again, not my motorcycle. Straight line stability is really good, and I have enough tire contact patch with the Nitro Moose, and I don't got to worry. I've been hitting square edge rocks all day for Simon for photos. I didn't have to worry about it, so it was nice. And also having A60s, I was riding out to a shoot just a little bit ago and hit a rock and messed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, went down, looked at the rim, no dent. So that's also a plus. Again, coming from a moto background, I looked at this tank and it scared me. Honestly, my crotchal region was like scared for me to ride this bike, but thank God I actually did not notice it at all today. It's over a 3-gallon tank from a Cherubies. I like the clear. Obviously, you guys, you want to see how far down your fuel is going, and you can see that very clearly. I was worried about it being a little bit tall in the front, getting over the front of the bike. Never really noticed it. So for me, no news is good news in that area, and you have enough range to get you from point A to point B, and then enjoy your trail ride time more than trying to worry about putting fuel or packing fuel with you when you go ride. A couple things that I like to talk about in these tests that are silent, I call these silent tools for your ride. So things that never really talk to you or speak to you when you ride, but you need them. Fastway has these fit wraparound handguards, which is nice. So if in case you fall over, 1, you're not going to break a lever. 2, if you smack a tree, you're not going to throw these flag style plastic pieces into your hands, which is nice. So again, not really speaking to you because they're doing their job. And also the pegs, messing around here on some rocks. It's nice to get back on the balls of my feet. And then if you guys are going long distances, moving around on the bike is key to try to find that spot. Look, we're getting older. Our backs are a little bit creaky than before, and your knees are not as good. So finding that spot on the seat when you're putting miles in is key. And then the Fastway pegs give you more room to do that. Along with the seat, concept seat, didn't have anything to say to Simon about it. I came back in like I don't really notice it, but it is nice to have that wider spectrum towards the rear of the seat. Moving around, coming up some of these hills, trying to get some traction. It was nice to kind of feel that. I don't really notice the combination of the width of the motorcycle, obviously with the tank and the seat. You know, honestly, I didn't really notice it, so that is also a plus for me. No news is good news. And then the skid plate with AXP, they actually, you know, bolted that thing right on. It's very easy to do. And again, having some rocks or something damage your cases in the middle of a ride, that's no bueno. You don't want that to happen. And for me, I'm kind of scared to go to Mexico, honestly. I don't really want to go on a 4-day ride. Simon is way gnarlier than I am, so I don't want to be stuck on a side of a dirt road in Mexico somewhere. No, thank you. I want to make sure my bike gets to where I need to go. I'm safe. I can have a cerveza, go to bed, relax. I don't want to be in Mexico somewhere at night because I got to rock through the cases and I'm pushing it somewhere, or my buddies are towing me back. I'm out. So I don't want that. So AXP, thank you for guarding our engine. It is very nice. All right, we were talking on top of this whole thing about having nice lights when you go in case you're riding at night. Cyclops had the light here. We were up in the mountains a little bit, and it's obviously a holiday weekend, so we have traffic coming one way, we're coming down the other. And obviously the quad riders, I want to speak highly of them, the 4-wheel gentlemen that we passed could see the Cyclops. So again, that shows proof that these things are important. It's nice to have a bright light to shine. And just real quick tip here, if you guys are coming over rises and you're riding off-road, stay to the side of the road. If you're going up, stay to the right. If you're coming down, stay to the other side. So it's just nice to be on each side. You can see, reach over. I don't know how many times I've been off-road riding, the guys are just going straight down the middle of the trail and boom, bad things happen. So just make sure you're aware, and Cyclops does help us keep safe out there on the trail. I gave Simon some crap about his grips, ODI grips. I'm a moto guy, so I like skinnier feeling grips, but Simon mentioned something to me that I really didn't think about, was if he has too small of a grip, kind of feels like his palm's getting bruised. So having a little bit more pillow top feel from ODI does help. I will say they're not as fat feeling as some other pillow type top grips, so that is nice. The compound itself is really good. And of course, Renthal coming through bars, twin ring sprocket, And of course the O-ring chain. If you are riding off-road, O-ring chain is a must. They don't stretch as much and they are a little bit heavier, but again, we're not looking for all that performance when we go ride off-road. So overall, very fun bike for me. The platform itself is awesome. I love a XCF-W 450. It's one of my favorite off-road bikes. I am a 4-stroke type of rider, not a 2-stroke guy, so this hits close to home to me, and I appreciate all of the guys coming on board to do this build for Simon. I can't wait to get some photos via text from Simon when he's in Mexico doing a 95 mile an hour down the dirt road and just having cervezas and having a good time. So hopefully this helps you guys out there and gives you the power to choose wisely when you purchase something. And I'm sure you'll see us again over here on Off-Road Underground and Keep Rink Testing. Thanks for joining us.